Hello, dear friends. My name is Samuel. I'm 74 years old, and I know well how a day can slip away before we even notice. I used to rise each morning with a list of things to do, only to end the evening carrying more stress than peace. The hours were filled with noise, with hurry, and yet my heart felt empty, as if I had walked through the day without truly walking with God. Maybe you felt the same. Mornings that begin in rush, afternoons that drain your strength, nights that leave your mind restless. But with time, I discovered something simple that changed everything. Life becomes gentler when we allow our days to follow God's rhythm, from sunrise to sunset. Not as strict rules, but as small moments of prayer, gratitude, and reflection that make each hour sacred. And today, I want to share with you 5 gentle ways to build this rhythm into your own life. Habits that can replace stress with spiritual flow and bring you back to the peace your soul longs for. Before we begin, if you desire the same peace in your daily walk, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to Grace Wisdom Eaters, and share it with someone you love who needs God's calming presence. When the sun rises, something sacred happens. The world wakes slowly. The light stretches across the sky, and it feels as if God Himself is reminding us that His mercies are new every single morning. That is what Lamentations tells us, that His compassion never fails, that every dawn is proof of His faithfulness. But how often do we rush past that gift? How many times have you opened your eyes already thinking of bills, of chores, of problems waiting to be solved, instead of pausing to notice that you are alive, breathing, and held by God's hand? I remember when I was younger, my mornings were full of noise, the radio playing loudly, the coffee spilling as I hurried, my thoughts already 3 steps ahead. And by the end of the day, I would ask myself, where was God in all of this? The truth is, He was there, but I did not make space for Him. Perhaps you know this too. Perhaps you have felt the emptiness of a day that begins without Him. Then I visited my old friend Elias, who is now 79 years old. Elias has a way of living that is simple yet deeply wise. Every morning, before he even leaves his bed, he sits quietly by the window. The curtain is half drawn, and he lets the first rays of the sun touch his face. He takes 3 slow, deep breaths, as if he is inhaling God's presence and exhaling yesterday's worries. Each breath, he whispers a verse. "O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you." That is Psalm 63. And for Elias, it is more than a prayer. It is an anchor, a doorway into the peace of God before the noise of the world begins. I sat with him once, and I noticed something remarkable. His whole body softened, his shoulders lowered, his hands unclenched, and when he stood up to begin the day, he was not rushing. He was steady. There was a quiet joy about him, a calmness that seemed to stay with him like sunlight resting gently on his shoulders. What if your mornings could feel the same? Imagine waking not to the sound of worry, but to the rhythm of God's presence. Imagine beginning not with rushing, but with 3 breaths and a verse whispered like a prayer. Just 2 or 3 minutes, no more. A moment that is so small you might be tempted to overlook it, yet so powerful it can shape the entire flow of your day. I ask you now, when was the last time you began your morning with a pause? Not with a plan, not with a problem, but with a prayer. What would change in your heart if tomorrow the very first words that left your lips were not complaints or concerns, but praise? Stay with me, because this is only the beginning. As the hours of the day unfold, I want to show you how small choices, holy pauses, and gentle habits can form a sacred rhythm, a rhythm that carries you from sunrise to sunset, with peace in your body, calm in your mind, and God close to your heart. After those first breaths with God, the next sacred moment of the day often arrives at the table. Breakfast, for many, is nothing more than coffee swallowed in a hurry or toast eaten standing by the sink. But what if even this simple meal could become holy fuel for the soul? I remember visiting Donna Alcira, an elderly woman in her 80s who still lives with such grace. Every morning, she sets her table as if she were preparing for company. A small plate, a cup of warm tea, a slice of bread with honey. Nothing extravagant, yet she sits with such presence, as though she is receiving a gift from the Lord Himself. Before she takes her first bite, she closes her eyes and whispers the words from Acts 2:46. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts. For her, even when eating alone, she is never truly alone. Christ is at her table. I remember asking her once, "Doesn't it feel strange to prepare the table just for yourself?" She smiled and said, "When I eat with thanksgiving, I am never by myself. The Spirit fills the empty chair." That answer stayed with me. Tell me, how many of your meals slip by unnoticed? How often do you eat with the television shouting or your thoughts racing without even tasting the food? What if instead you slow down, even for just a few moments? What if you let each bite remind you that this too is a gift from God's hand? The Bible reminds us in 1 Timothy 4:4-5 that everything God created is good, and nothing is to be rejected if it is received with thanksgiving, because it is consecrated by the Word of God and prayer. When we pause to pray over our food, no matter how simple, we are doing more than giving thanks. We are inviting God into the ordinary. We are consecrating the everyday. Imagine how different your mornings would feel if you chose to eat slowly, without hurry, in the company of God. The bread would taste sweeter, the tea warmer, the silence less heavy. Even more, it can heal loneliness. You see, when Donna Alcira prays before eating, she also remembers someone else. Sometimes she sends a message after breakfast to encourage a friend. A small act born from a quiet meal that multiplies peace. And perhaps you could do the same. Could you pause tomorrow morning and pray over your plate, not only for yourself, but for someone else in need? Could you taste each bite with gratitude, remembering that it comes from the Father's love? Stay with me, because the day continues. After breakfast comes the rhythm of work and service, the hours when the world pulls hardest at our time. And yet, even there is a way to walk without hurry, to serve without losing peace, to let God guide your steps. As the morning passes and the world begins to stir with activity, this is often the hour when stress creeps back in. Even for those of us who are retired, there are still endless tasks to manage. Bills to pay, errands to run, family members to care for, responsibilities that do not end. And if we are not careful, the calm we found in the morning can be stolen by the rush of the day. I once spent an afternoon with Señor Joaquim, a retired schoolteacher in his 70s. He told me how after he left work, he thought his days would finally slow down, but to his surprise, life seemed just as busy, only with different demands. Children calling for help, neighbors asking for advice, appointments and chores filling the hours. For a while, he grew bitter, saying, "I thought retirement would bring peace, but all it brought was more lists." One day, though, Joachim read Colossians 3:23. "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." Those words struck him deeply. He realized that even small tasks, when offered to God,
could become worship. Washing dishes, fixing a chair, helping a grandchild with homework, all of it could be holy if done with a heart turned toward the Lord. So, Joachim began a new practice. He chose one task at a time instead of letting himself drown in the whole list. He would say a short prayer before starting. Lord, let me do this with love as if I am serving you. Then he would give himself fully to that one thing without rushing. And when the task was done, he would pause, breathe, and whisper, "Thank you." He told me that this rhythm changed not only his work, but his mood. The bitterness faded, replaced by a quiet joy. Now, let me ask you, how often do you find yourself scattered by too many things at once? How often do you begin one chore only to be distracted by another until the day feels like a storm of unfinished work? What if instead you took each task slowly, like Joachim, one thing at a time, with a prayer before and gratitude after? Could that not bring peace to your daily labor? Jesus himself showed us this rhythm. In Luke 5:16, we read that he often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. Even in his ministry, with crowds pressing in and needs all around him, he stepped back, slowed down, and recentered his work in God's presence. If the Son of God did not hurry, why should we? So let this be your rhythm too. Whatever the task, no matter how small, dedicate it to Him. Work as worship, not as a burden. One task, one prayer, one pause. Stay with me because the day is not finished. After the hours of work comes the afternoon, when our bodies tire and our spirits need renewal. There too, God offers a gift, a gentle reset, a pause that refreshes both heart and soul.
By the time afternoon comes, the energy of the morning often begins to fade. The body feels slower, the mind grows heavy, and for many, this is the hour when discouragement sneaks in. We begin to think of what we have not done, of what still waits, and the peace of the morning starts slipping through our fingers. Yet God, in His mercy, has given us this part of the day not to be endured in frustration, but to be renewed in His presence. I think of my neighbor Martha's father, Señor Augusto, who lived to be 91. Every day, at around 3 in the afternoon, he would stop whatever he was doing and sit quietly in his garden. He had a small wooden bench under an olive tree, and that became his sanctuary. He told me once, "This is my hour with God. When the sun is still high but beginning to soften, I let Him soften me too." He would close his eyes, breathe slowly, and thank the Lord for 3 things that had already happened that day. Some days it was something as simple as the taste of bread, the smile of a grandchild, or the sound of birds in the branches. This practice transformed his afternoons. Instead of sinking into tiredness and complaint, he lifted his heart with gratitude. Psalm 119, verse 164 says, "7 times a day I praise you for your righteous laws." And in that little bench ritual, Augusto was living out this truth, pausing again to remember the one who gave him breath. Tell me, what could happen in your own life if you paused in the afternoon, even for 5 minutes, to thank God for 3 blessings? Would your heart not feel lighter? Would your worries not shrink when measured against the kindness He has already shown you? But Augusto did not stop with gratitude. After his quiet pause, he always made a phone call. Sometimes to a family member, sometimes to a friend who lived alone, sometimes even to someone he knew was sick or discouraged. A simple check-in, a reminder that they were not forgotten. And do you know what happened? The peace he received from gratitude overflowed to others. That one act of kindness often changed someone's entire day.
Jesus invites us in Matthew 11, verse 28, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And one of the ways we enter that rest is by stopping in the middle of our busy day to breathe, to remember, to thank, and to share. So what if tomorrow, when the afternoon feels heavy, you found your own bench under the olive tree? Maybe it is a chair by the window, maybe a short walk outside, maybe just sitting with your hands resting quietly on your lap. Pause, thank Him for 3 gifts, and then let that gratitude lead to one small act of kindness. Could this not turn the heaviest part of your day into one of the most beautiful? Stay with me, because the day is not over yet. As the evening approaches, we are invited into one final gift, a way of closing the day with reflection, forgiveness, and rest in God's arms. As the sun begins to set and the day draws to a close, we often carry with us a weight we do not even realize. A harsh word we regret, a task left unfinished, a worry that lingers in our chest. These things can follow us into the night, robbing us of sleep and keeping our hearts restless. But God has given us a simple gift for the evening hours, a way of laying everything down and resting in His peace. I once sat with my friend Manuel, who is 80 years old and a widower. Every evening, without fail, he lights a small lamp beside his chair, opens his Bible to the Psalms, and takes out a worn notebook. He calls this time his examen, a quiet conversation with God. First, he thanks the Lord for the good he has seen that day, no matter how small. Then, he asks gently, "Lord, show me where I walked with you today, and show me where I turned away." With honesty, he writes a few lines, confessing his faults, forgiving those who hurt him, and releasing his own failures into God's mercy. I asked him once why he does this every night. He smiled and read Psalm 4:4. "When you are on your beds, search your hearts and be silent." Then he added Psalm 127, verse 2. "He grants sleep to those He loves." He said, "I do this because I want to go to bed light. I want to sleep as a man forgiven, not as a man burdened." And truly, when I saw him, his face carried a gentleness as though even his sleep had become a prayer. Now I ask you, how do you end your days? Do you close your eyes carrying grudges, worries, or regrets? Or could you, like Manuel, pause for a few minutes to examine your heart, to forgive, and to let yourself be forgiven? Imagine the relief of handing your failures to God before you sleep. Imagine the comfort of whispering, "Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." Those are the words of Psalm 139. Would not your rest be sweeter if those were your last thoughts of the day? This practice is not about perfection. It's about peace. It's about remembering that the day is never wasted when it ends with God. It's about closing your eyes not in fear or regret, but in the safety of His love. So tonight, when you turn off the lights, do not carry the heavy bag of the day into your dreams. Lay it at His feet. Ask forgiveness, forgive others, and let His mercy cover you. Stay with me, because before we close this journey from sunrise to sunset, I want to share one final encouragement: how these small daily rhythms can truly reshape your life and bring you into a deeper flow of peace with God.
From the first light of sunrise to the stillness of night, our lives are carried by a rhythm that is older and wiser than our own. It is God's rhythm, woven into creation itself. The sun rises and sets, the birds sing and rest, the body awakens and grows weary. And in all of it, there is a divine pattern inviting us to walk with Him. When we choose to align our days with this sacred flow, every hour becomes holy ground. Perhaps as you listened today,
You recognized moments in your own life where stress has taken the place of peace, mornings that felt rushed, meals eaten without thought, tasks done with heaviness, afternoons where loneliness pressed hard, nights spent restless, staring at the ceiling, longing for sleep. My friend, you are not alone in this. We all have carried these burdens. But what joy it is to know that God offers us another way, a gentler path. Imagine tomorrow beginning with 3 deep breaths and a verse whispered in the quiet. Imagine breakfast where you taste every bite as a gift, consecrated by prayer. Imagine each task offered to God as an act of worship, one thing at a time. Imagine pausing in the afternoon to thank Him for 3 blessings and letting gratitude flow into kindness. And imagine the peace of night, laying down your failures, forgiving and being forgiven, and resting in His love. Do you feel how light that sounds? Do you sense the calm that could fill your days if you lived this way? This is what happens when we let God set the rhythm. We no longer run on the clock of stress, but on the heartbeat of eternity. If this message spoke to you, I want to invite you to take one step today. Type the word peace in the comments below so that we can pray for you and walk together in this journey. And if you long to keep learning how to live gently with God's wisdom, I ask you to like this video, subscribe to Grace Wisdom Years, and share it with someone you love who needs calm in their days. Your small action may bring them comfort they have been praying for. As we close, I bless your sunrise and your sunset. May your mornings open with joy. May your afternoons be filled with gratitude, and may your nights close in the rest of God's arms. Remember, no day is wasted when it is given to Him. The same God who lights the dawn also guards the night, and He is with you in every breath, every bite, every task, every pause, and every prayer. Go in peace, and let tomorrow begin not in hurry, but in His rhythm.